This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And hey, lots of great offers out there, and it's kind of confusing to tell you the truth. You've got these annual pass rates, these pin codes out there, special deals Disney has. Who's got time to figure out which is the best deal out there? And of course, you're going to second guess yourself, naturally. So why not have the travel agents at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel help you plan that next trip by taking all your information and then figuring out what the best deal is for you. Not only are they going to figure it out, they're going to lay out all the options on the table and say, here's what your options are. And we think this is the best one, but hey, we'll work with you to whatever your needs may be. And the best part, it's free to you. No cost. Check them out online at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, September 22nd, 2010, and this is episode 776 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
You will return with one additional passenger. Extra large.
Dinosaur.
Dinosaur.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
Good evening, everyone. Or good day.
Good day.
Whenever it is you happen to be listening.
Or good evening.
Good evening. Good morning.
Also joining us on today's show is the fabulous Annette Owens, a manager of customer relations and group services for MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Welcome to the show, Annette.
Hey, guys. Very
wow,
simple.
you guys are also talkative today. This is going to be a great listener question show.
I said good morning, good evening, good afternoon, all that jazz.
He covered it all for all of us.
That's right.
So I was in Norway, you see, and I'm walking down. Oh.
So here's the thing. I texted the guys at 4:31 a.m. because I could.
It's funny.
$12 for a cheeseburger. Oh.
It's a Royale with cheese. And I got a 72-centimeter pizza.
It's so beautiful. 7 out of 10. Oh.
Recap for those that didn't listen to Monday's show.
Len's back in case you missed Monday's show.
And we to quote a text he sent me, I've got stories, dude. I've got stories.
Yeah, but are they for the show or are they for us? There's different kind of stories.
That's true.
Well, it's Wednesday. We're going to answer your listener questions.
It sure is.
So the first question is from our good friend of the show, Doug Harper. Remember Doug, Mike?
I remember Doug from Magic Meets 2006.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't seen him since.
Doug writes, what's that?
Haven't seen him since. No, I'm kidding.
All right, I've been assigned the task of planning a bachelor party for my cousin down at Walt Disney World. Besides the obvious drinking around the world, I'm looking for ideas for unique things to do around the world that he'll never forget. All 3 attending are Disney fanatics. No golf, as it's a waste of our touring time. So far, the only planned event is a World Showcase Segway Tour. Thanks for your help. P.S. I miss Steve the Bear.
Oh, yes, I got fired. Yes, poor Steve.
So what are some options that they can do for a bachelor party besides the obvious drinking around the world?
Yeehaw, Bob.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh,
that is
great option.
Yeah, great option is right. Wow. That you can't even think of anything else besides that. Be honest.
No, that was beautiful. I mean, there's nothing else. Yeah. Definitely do that, Doug, and you're welcome.
You'll thank us later. And tell him we said hi.
For all 3 shows.
Tell him we said hi, by the way.
Unless you've already missed it. Unless the guy's already been married and just got to your message.
Next email's from Jim from Palmyra, Pennsylvania. Go Giants. I grew up in New Jersey. Sorry, Len.
Is any Giants fan here? I don't think so.
Going in late August 2011, but I have to book by December in order to get the free dining. So take your time, don't get crazy. When you guys mention a discount like free dining, you guys always mention that you are paying, quote, rack rates for the room reservation. What exactly is a rack rate? Is that the price you get when you go on DisneyWorld.com and request a quote for a room or a Magic Your Way quote? Annette, can you explain what a rack rate room is?
Yeah, so easy for you to say there, Matt.
Exactly.
Basically, they have a rate that they have in the system that is the starting point. So if there was no discounts out there, that would be the rack rate. And then with Disney, there's so many different codes. There's so many different availabilities with AAA discounts and with, room only discounts and with different packages and stuff. But basically, when you get free dining, you're paying the full value that Disney says that room is worth at that time frame. And then you're getting food for free. So sometimes what our agents we do check all different offers. There's many times where you'll find out that the free dining isn't really your best offer because you can get the room rate a lot cheaper than what you would cost on food. We'll give you the option and say, here you go with this room discount off of rack rate, and here's the free dining. Will you eat that much food?
No, it makes sense.
And that, we kind of give you a comparison, but rack rate is what Disney says that room is worth on that particular night, the beginning of the season, and then it gets adjusted and discounted based on different codes.
Cool. Next email is from Gene in Madison, Wisconsin. Hi, guys and gal. I have been listening to your show for about 3 years and love it, except when you tell people you have 8 and your ADRs for 4. No problem. Just bring everyone. They will seat you. I inevitably start screaming at my MP3 player. We had an extra person join us unexpectedly, and we tried to get a 5th person in our ADR for 4. The cast member told us no. We pleaded, but it did not work. The cast member said something like, the kitchen expects 4, and if we have 5, it throws them off, so 2 of your party are left to find a quick service meal. When the other 3 were seated for our ADR, to add insult to injury, they seated us at a table for 6. So did I do something wrong? Is it just a corrosing crown? Was the cast member hostess having a bad day? Is there something about a Thursday in June that's special? Was it because it was a late seating in the hopes that we could see illuminations from the patio? Should I have dropped Glenn's name? Am I the only person ever to be refused seating for the extra person?
Did she say that they went in just before illuminations? That might be a problem.
But that wasn't the issue. They said that the reservation was for 4, and
but have you ever gotten turned down by that?
I've never gotten turned down.
And I have never either. My point is, if it's for an illumination seating, they might be very specific because that's a prime table at a prime time.
Well, I mean,
it could also be the cast member too.
It could be right, but I think that seating.
I've been turned down before for adding before.
Really?
So I never have, and especially like in the afternoon or early evening, or a restaurant that is not got a great view of illuminations, but I could see illuminations being a factor.
I think Mike's got a point there. I've actually doubled the number of people at Le Cellier and have gotten in, but that was like around 2:00 in the afternoon. I think that the timing is very key here, and I think that Mike might be right in that if it was close to illuminations, then I'm sure that it's going to be even more difficult. But also, Annette has a point too, that sometimes the cast member may just not be seasoned enough to figure out how to squeeze in that extra person. I've never been turned down either.
It also could be, there are particular table setups in some of these restaurants. So it could be, yes, I'm surprised you were turned away when they had the table there. But it could be at the hostess stand, they only see what's been cleared.
I would have been, if I was in that person's situation and they say, no, we can only do 4. Okay, fine. You get seated at 4. I'd be upset. I can deal with it. And they seat me at a table for 6. I would immediately get up. I would speak to the manager and be like, you got to be kidding me that it's an issue. You're giving me a table for 6. It would have accommodated my party. I mean, that's just wrong. It's one thing if they only have a table for 4. That's all they've got. They got to be strict. I can understand that. But that's why that would annoy me more than anything. Anyway. Next email is from Brett in New Hampshire. Cousin Mickey doesn't talk about .blogspot.com. Back in the 80s, I remember the Magic Kingdom had a few arcades. I remember one of them being at the exit of Space Mountain, the other being on Main Street USA. The one on Main Street USA had some amazing antique cartoon viewers and mechanical games. Anyone know what happened to these when the arcade was shut down? I figured Scopa would remember these. It's not often that he runs into something in Disney World that's older than he is.
That's the Penny Arcade.
I remember those. Yeah. Penny Arcade on the left-hand side. Now it's where they have a lot of there's clothing. It's the extension of the Emporium. The Emporium. Is it the Emporium? Yeah, the Emporium.
Yeah.
I don't know where some of them went. Some of them are still in there. In a little corner here and there, you might find one. I don't know where the others have gone. That's a good question.
There's a couple at the Boardwalk.
They were actually a penny to play.
There's a couple at the Boardwalk. I'm not sure if they're the same machines that got transferred over, but there are two.
You're right, Mike. The photo things.
The Nickelodeons.
Kineoscopes or whatever they're called. Yeah.
Those are right outside the Bellevue Lounge, right?
You should know that. Mr. Newell, the original.
Still one of my favorite stories on the podcast.
Shout out to Tim and Alan.
It's like when Newell walks in. It's like Norm when he walks into Cheers.
Yep.
It's home.
Very good. If anyone has any other information, I haven't heard anything about what happened to those things. The only ones I remember are the ones that Newell or someone mentioned at the Boardwalk. Next email is from Jerry from Georgetown, Texas. I was watching a past show on the History Channel dated around 2006, and it was called The History of Walt Disney World. Towards the end of the show, they feature a free-roaming animatronic called Lucky in the Animal Kingdom. It followed with a blurb about displaying Lucky around the world, literally at all of the parks. My questions are, have any of you ever seen this free-roaming animatronic? Is he still in use? And is there a schedule for appearances by Lucky?
Lucky is the dinosaur, correct?
Right.
Yes.
And it was a freestanding dinosaur with a huge battery pack. And one of the problems with these audio animatrons is that they're so big and they're so heavy that they need a huge battery charge or whatever. And Lucky was around, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, he was around. And then I think he got shipped off to Japan.
Yeah, he's in Japan or Hong Kong last time I heard. Wasn't he, Mike? Wasn't that battery in like a carriage? He was tugging like a little cart.
Yeah, it looked like he was pulling a cart, and in the cart was the battery, or several batteries. And I remember when he was out and he walked around near where, let me see, where Dino Land is, and he walked around there, and he was walking real slow, and he would make a noise like he was burping or whatever. And he wasn't out for too long, but the battery would run down really, really fast. But yeah, Mike, that battery was in the cart, and there were several batteries from what I recall.
Yeah, I was doing some research, and Lucky the dinosaur, as of June 2009, he doesn't have a home right now. He's been there's no plans right now to have him permanently be at any Disney theme park. He occasionally makes guest appearances at non-Disney parks, for example, at the street fair of the 2008 World Science Festival. So
cool.
He's currently on hiatus.
Yeah, the technology, I think they're working on the technology so that they can get better battery power for those things.
Yeah. Next email is from Dr. Roger Sauer, Salem, Oregon, a.k.a. the unofficial guy.
Who?
And
Hooah.
writes top 10 changes at the Grand Floridian in response to WDW Today's review. So you guys remember we did that. We talked about the Grand Floridian Resort and our many issues with it.
Yes.
No, maybe so.
I remember.
Okay.
I was in here.
A grand review, I think it was called.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, number 10, concierge now heavily tattooed. Number 9, afternoon tea now features hot wings and ice cold Budweiser. Number 8, many rooms now feature Repo Men decor. Number 7, lobby pianist plays Van Halen. 6, black velvet paintings in Elvis in suites. Of Elvis in suites, got it. 5, bell services, lots and lots of leather. Number 4, spa now includes mud wrestling activity. 3, discounts. Just put that tent up next to the Boca Chica. 2, each room features a real hibachi that you can take home with you. And number 1, 3 words, extreme lobby sports.
Most of those, it sounded like he'd been over to the Hard Rock Hotel. But
Nice. Next email is from Stephen Operak of Merrimack, New Hampshire. Writes, I have more of a show topic than a question. I'm a big Disney nut and devour all things Disney, especially dead projects. I'm going to bring up a topic that I can get a little information about called Project Gemini. I can find small tidbits here and there, but I'm very interested in what was planned for Epcot, how far along it got in planning, and why it didn't come to fruition. Thanks a bunch. Tell Scopa if he's in Merrimack, New Hampshire, Cinemagic to see a movie to ask for me. I can give him the hookup. What's the Cinemagic? Is that the movie theater?
It's a huge theater complex with theater seats and everything. It's pretty cool.
Do they have talkies?
Yes, they do. Al Jolson sounds nothing like I expected.
So Project Gemini, here's something that conjures some memory. So who wants to give kind of a brief what they remember of Project Gemini for people who have no clue what that is? Because I remember it was this massive project for re-theming much of Epcot, if I'm not mistaken. And this was like we were recording the podcast already by this point? I'm pretty sure this was still in 2000. Right?
Yeah, let's see.
Because I remember that they were much of it involved Spaceship Earth. And that it was the Time Racers attraction.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they were going to totally redo Spaceship Earth into this attraction called Time Racers, which I believe was some sort of roller coaster. And then I realized, they were going ahead with it, but then I think they realized there was a huge problem in that the infrastructure of Spaceship Earth itself, like the sphere, is too tied to the infrastructure of the ride, and they couldn't separate the ride from the building.
Yeah, the track was very much supporting the actual the actual spaceship Earth.
Yes.
And the integrity of that structure would be compromised if they started fooling around with that. So they, after they did an engineering study, Matt, they decided to pull the plug on that.
Yeah, I mean, it was something like there was a huge amount of other stuff that was going to be going on in Epcot, and there were just too many problems. Like, this was back in the Eisner days. This is like the last. I think this is like the last really project that Eisner really kind of initiated, and it was it was gonna be a huge project. I forget how many. Like it was a couple $100 million if I wasn't mistaken. Like it was that kind of a big deal, and they were gonna change the name of tomorrow of Future World, weren't they?
Yeah, they were going to take Future World and they were going to rename it. I think they were going to rename it Discoveryland.
I think that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And they were going to do a lot of things. They were going to actually add more trees. They were going to, I mean, they had all kinds of plans. They were going to, it was going to affect a lot of the pavilions and stuff. And it was just a huge undertaking. And I forget what caused it to be pulled. I think they were going to start doing it right around October 1st, 2006.
Yeah, they ran into a bunch of problems, as I recall. And then I think it was a combination of the problems and then just the budget, I think, just fell through.
They even had a roller coaster planned. I remember, I don't know if many people remember this. They were going to have some kind of a roller coaster near and somehow in the land that was supposed to go on top of it was all kinds of crazy plans, and some of it just didn't seem like it would ever come about. So I really wasn't surprised when they pulled the plug.
Yeah, Disney has a lot. This is one of a few projects now that Disney had announced. You had artwork for it, and then it kind of it never quite made it all the way to fruition.
I have a list, Matt, if you're interested.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. At the Living Seas, they were thinking about retheming it to Under the Sea, featuring the characters from The Little Mermaid. They ended up doing Nemo.
Right.
Wonders of Life would be closed, demolished, leaving a future expansion space. In front of Test Track, a junior Autopia attraction would be built, similar to Autopia at Disneyland. One of the biggest changes would be Spaceship Earth, and we talked about that. I think that's about it, Matt.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's interest. Nope, that was
Yeah.
That was part of it. I guess Mission Space was part of all of this, and I guess Mission Space was built. So
yeah. Let me ask you this, Newell. Speaking of Project Gemini, I mean, was this something that you would have wanted to have happened?
From what I remember of it, I hated it. I didn't want to see any of that happen.
Really?
Yeah. At the time, I couldn't stand the idea of them putting a high-speed race track in Spaceship Earth. It was, and I loved what Michael Eisner did. I know there's a lot of controversy with him, and I know there's a lot of debate about what he did for the company, but I thought he made some really good changes to the company. When he came out with this, it was very disappointing. But
I have a couple of things, Matt. I found out the interventions would be split up into areas called Robot, Restaurant, Leading Edge, Home of the Future, Internet Cafe, Future Mart, and Cool Stuff. And they also said that there was supposed to be some kind of a hedge maze that would bring guests through exhibits somewhere in Intervention. So there were a whole bunch of plans. And the thing is that when I look back at these, sometimes you look at these things and you say, wait a minute, none of these make sense for Epcot.
It's interesting. I mean, it was definitely going to be a radical redesign of the park, almost to the extent that we see in Disney's California Adventure going on right now, where they just totally rip the whole thing apart. And instead, we got the Nemo changes, which Mike mentioned, Mission Space, Soarin', lots of other things over there. So, next question is from Glenn Greenow of Meridian, North New Hampshire, who writes, Meriden, New Hampshire. Never mind. I have a question about avoiding the flood of people after Wishes. My wife and I have a 7:40 reservation at the California Grill and are planning on staying through Wishes, a 9 p.m. show. I expect we will be leaving the Contemporary to head back to our hotel, the Yacht Club, shortly after Wishes finishes. Normally, I would walk to the Magic Kingdom bus station and take a bus to the Yacht Club, but that seems crazy given the crowds that will be at the Magic Kingdom at that time. Disney recommends taking a bus to downtown Disney, then taking a bus to the Yacht Club from there, which seems rather convoluted. I thought about a monorail ride to the TTC, then a bus to the yacht club. Is that possible? They don't have resort buses at the TTC, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, no.
I would still go to the Magic Kingdom. I know it's going to be really crowded, but they're going to be running an ungodly amount of buses over there. So it's not like you're going to be waiting that long for it. And if anything, just take your time leaving the Contemporary. Don't, walk around a little bit on the Grand Canyon Concourse and kind of enjoy things out there and, take your time and hopefully you'll get there towards the tail end of that Wishes crowd rush and it won't be so bad. What do you guys think? Annette, what would you do in that situation?
That's what I would do. I would kind of take my time and walk over to the Magic Kingdom. The worst thing ever for me personally, the worst times I've had on buses is going to downtown Disney and then waiting on the next bus.
Yeah.
To get to a resort. That just never works for me personally.
Yeah, the thing that I would worry about is whether or not I would get a direct bus to wherever I wanted to go, and worry about are there any intermediate stops on the way, and that would really get me upset.
Yeah, your other alternative is you could take the monorail to the TTC and then take the monorail to Epcot, because 9 o'clock the Epcot monorail will still be running over there. And then you could walk back. But if the park's closed, then never mind. You might be out of luck. So
that might not work.
Yeah. Never mind. Take the bus at the Magic Kingdom. It'll, one bus with a little bit of a wait is better than a couple buses. Next email is from Jen, aka Sally of Jack and Sally on the boards.
Jack and Sally? That sounds like a drink.
It sounds like a Bruce Springsteen song.
No, that's
Diane.
Yeah,
Diane.
And it's not Bruce Springsteen. It's
that's John Cougar Mellencamp, isn't it?
Yeah, a little different. Yeah.
Was he Cougar Mellencamp or just John Mellencamp?
I think he's now John Mellencamp.
He was Cougar back in the time, but now I don't think he is.
Way before your time, Annette, right?
Yeah, right.
We have a few questions about the Sunday Gospel Brunch in view of recent ticketing change. I tried to book tickets for the House of Blues Sunday Gospel Brunch and was disappointed to find new ticketing procedure that significantly impacted the price of tickets. Tickets used to be available by phone from the House of Blues box office. Now, phone and internet sales are handled through Live Nation. Unfortunately, this means you have to pay the Live Nation per ticket surcharge, total of $13.95 per adult ticket and $10.75 per child ticket. So an adult price of $32.50 becomes $46.45 with surcharge. For children 9 and under, $16.25 ticket is now $27 even with surcharge. Our family of 4, 2 adults and 2 kids ages 13 and 6 would pay over $52 in ticket surcharges. I called House of Blues to ask about this, and the person I spoke with said Live Nation, who owns the House of Blues, took over ticket sales about 2 weeks ago, and that this is the new policy. He said if you buy tickets at the door, the surcharges are much less. So now we're trying to decide if we should suck it up and pay the surcharges, which will, of course, risk waiting until we arrive in Orlando to buy tickets at the box office, or skip altogether. How important is the seating? And do you know if the event ever sells out? And would you pay almost $50 per person, per adult, to attend? What do you think, Scopa, since you're the one who's been there?
The seating, I don't really think it's much. I don't really think it's a big deal where you sit in there. I think all the areas are you can see what's going on from all areas. I don't know if I would support the price increase. I think that before the increase, I thought that the tickets were well worth it. I had a great time. It's very enjoyable. It's a lot of good entertainment. The food is excellent. Right now, I don't know. I don't know if I could justify the price increase. I think what I would do is I would risk going there and seeing if I could get at the box office. I wouldn't go on that Sunday morning. I would go, like if I'm down in Orlando and I happen to be in downtown Disney, I'd take a walk over there and see if I could get tickets. And I wouldn't worry about, where you sit. If you can get in and you can save that $10 or $13 or whatever that surcharge is, I think it's worth it. But I'm not sure if it's worth it. I'm sure it's not. I don't really think it's worth it online, with one exception. If you think this is the only time you're going to Walt Disney World and you love gospel music, and it's really kind of funny gospel music. It may not be what you expect, but it's very good entertainment. You're going to find yourself standing up and clapping. If you think it's the only time you're going to get a chance, then maybe it's worth it.
And for our last question today, we're actually going to change something up. Evidently, while we've been recording this show, someone's been calling the show, the number, thinking that we were doing a live show, and we weren't. But you know what, Mike? Let's bring her in anyway. This person, we talked to her off the air, and we're going to answer her question. We're going to make her question the last question of the day, and I believe her name is Mary, right?
That's right, Mary.
I'm here.
There she is.
Yay! There we go.
Hi, Mary.
Hello.
So, Mary, where are you from?
I'm from Long Beach, California.
Now, at the danger of setting a dangerous precedent over here for everyone to start calling us at random hours in the hopes of getting their questions answered, we're feeling very giving, and we wanted to help you out here with your question. So you are the last question of the day. Mike Newell chose you, in a manner of speaking.
All right.
So what's your question?
My question is, what is a good strategy for seeing the Osborne lights? I'm going to be there on Friday, December 10th.
Okay.
I just want to know a good strategy for being there. Is there such a thing as a countdown to this?
There is a countdown to it, Mary. They have right before it starts, which is about 6 p.m. They say dusk, and in Disney talk, dusk is 6. If you get there, obviously before 6 o'clock, they do kind of a quick. It's not a terribly elaborate ceremony that they've got going on, but it's definitely a countdown, and then the lights go on, and then it's the same thing for the rest of the night. The best strategy you can employ, Mary, is to go see the Osborne lights during Fantasmic, because that's the time where you'll really detect a much less crowded scenario. Because when you first get there, at first 6 o'clock, it's really crowded. If you were going to go there and you didn't have that option, definitely 6 o'clock's the best. But get there during Fantasmic, and you'll find that it's much more manageable for you. I'm not sure if that night that you're going, is there Fantasmic that evening?
Well, on the 10th, it's not listed yet as being a Fantasmic night.
Okay.
The Thursday and the Saturday are listed at this point.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, if you can't do it, it's not the end of the world. You just got to, one thing that I found also is that, the first 30 minutes that the lights go on, it's very crowded. People are trying to see the lights and then get out of the park. They want to do something like that. They want to this is the last thing of the day for them. So if you can, you might actually want to wait and kind of let the crowd go a little bit, and then come in a little bit later in the evening and try to catch it that way. But it seems like you might, if you wanted to see it is kind of cool to see the countdown, because the buildings are normal, and then someone literally flicks a switch and it all turns on, which is it is a pretty cool experience. And if that's the case, you just got to take your time. Give yourself plenty of time, because to navigate that crowd is going to be very, very difficult.
And patience. Just take lots of patience, because it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the advantage, though, you're going December 10th, not a terribly busy time of the year, so you got that on your side also. Good. Well, hope we answered your question, Mary.
You did. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
and
Mary.
That's going to do it for us today. I want to mention, of course, that this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And hey, you're trying to plan your next trip to Walt Disney World, and you're trying to figure out what's the best deal out there? Why not have the travel agents at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel plan that for you? They'll figure it out. They can give you all the options, let you know what they think is the best option, and ultimately give you all the tools to figure out how to make your next trip to Walt Disney World a little more affordable. Check them out online at www.mousefantravel.com. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send your comments, you can visit us on the WDW Today website at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, Mike Newell, the fabulous Annette Owens, and Mary, I'm Matt Hotchberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.